I am Tyler Kallenbach. If you've joined us before, welcome back. If you've never, this is the Live Your Truth podcast. I'm Tyler Kallenbach. I'm a real estate agent in Santa Barbara, California. Tonight, we are going to have Casey Jones, founder of Socially Awkward, social media consultant, web designer, lifestyle blogger, mom. She also happens to be my wife. She's going to be here with us today. We're going to be talking social media. A few other random things I'm sure is going to get thrown in there. So I'm glad that you're here. Without further ado, let's bring Casey in.
I am traveling. I'm in Florida and I have like limited space. The baby is getting put to bed by his grandma, and this was the best I could do. So I'm on.
Cool. Well, hello. You're my special guest. You're the first woman on my podcast, and I can't think of any better person to have on than you. So I'm so happy that you're able to take the time. I know baby Emerson is a lot to handle, but you got grandma and grandpa there, so all good. All right, let's jump into it. So Case, I kind of did a little bit of background before you came on. You know, you're founder of Socially Awkward. You are a web designer. You're a social media consultant. You used to do food blogging. I'll let you get into all that. That's your story to tell.
I've done it all.
You've done it all. So tell us a little bit about your background and kind of what you're doing now.
I went to college at UCF in Orlando, University of Central Florida, and I studied psychology. Actually, I changed my major probably every 4 years. I started at journalism. I switched to liberal arts. Then I switched to psychology with a minor in creative writing, and then I switched to a minor in women's studies, and that's what I ended up with, degree in psychology and women's studies. So my plan was to go to school and study mental health, but we met and things got a little sidetracked, and I kind of worked some odd jobs for a while, I guess, and I started my blog, like, I think I was 21, 22 when I started it, something like that. So, like, I started blogging before it was pretty cool to do so, before everybody and their mother was a blogger. And so it's been interesting to kind of see the growth of the blogging boom, I guess you could say, through the years. But so then I kind of switched gears and I got another degree, went back to school. I'm like a lifelong learner. I would be in school forever if I could, if you allowed me to be in school forever, I guess I should say. So I went back to school and I got a degree in holistic health. So I'm certified holistic health practitioner, and another in certification as a raw food chef. So my goal was to like blow that up and do online consulting, nutrition consulting. We had a business together, chiropractic and nutrition, for a while, and my nutrition stuff was mostly online, and I loved it. But I kind of loved like the back end side of it more. I mean, you know this, but I was really staying up all night to work on my website and blog and do research on like the social media end of things versus the food stuff, like I really enjoyed the other side more. And so I don't know, down there, I'm skipping a few years ahead, I guess, but I started working with a girl who is in network marketing. She's huge. She might even be on here right now, but she's big time. And I started working for her, and she does her whole business online, and she's killing it. And so I was working for her on the back end, behind the scenes, and like learning so much, and just loving every second of how Sunny. Hi, Sunny. Loving every second of like how social media was changing the game in terms of business. And so, and like what it could do, specifically with my background in women's studies, I guess I was more passionate about like what it could really do for women, because, I was seeing these women have kids and like, 3 months, they get their 3 months maternity leave and then have to be back, home with or back to work and leave their kids with someone else, and which is fine. And people have to do that. But like, I think just empowering women to like take control of their businesses and be their own bosses and be able to stay home, create a life, that they've designed and be able to kind of stay home with their families. And so I, completely went headfirst into that and then started our social media company, which is called Socially Awkward.
So you mentioned to me the other day, you said, when you shortly after starting Socially Awkward, which is geared mostly towards women, right? I mean, you'd be open to working with men, but it's kind of a passion project
I love
of yours
working
to work
with
men.
women. Yeah, I love working with men, but I try to only work with women specifically just because that's like sort of my branding and that is sort of what I'm most passionate about. But, I won't turn down business, but I'm also like, I would prefer to work with just women because it is sort of the empowerment there is what I'm passionate about.
Cool. That's kind of where I was going with that. I was going to ask you about empowerment, but also you said, and you kind of touched on this earlier, I don't know if you had mentioned that you did Beachbody before and, kind of dabbled, or at least you'd always been proposed to by other people about doing network marketing or direct sales. I'm a little bit confused on the difference on those, but you've been approached on kind of both. And what you'd always said was like, I'm not as passionate about diving into network marketing or direct sales as I am like helping people get there. Like you're passionate about the behind the scenes work. You're passionate about being successful by helping people reach their goals.
Yeah. So I would say, so I have clients in every kind of business and, some that are in brick and mortar businesses and some that are, have all their businesses online. But I would say most of my clients are in network marketing and direct sales. And they're killing it. And so I really love that field because I'm fascinated by it. And I think, there are tons of haters of network marketing and multi-level marketing groups. And I don't, a lot of people are doing it wrong, I guess, and they're annoying other people by the constant, hey girl, messages people are getting. And I get that, but it's also like, it's just so fascinating to me that these women can take, they're staying at home with their kids. Half of them are like working in their pajamas all day and they're making a living and they're supporting their families and they're staying home with their kids and they're working on their own terms. And I think it's so cool. So like people can hate on the multi-level marketing thing, but they're hating on it because they're not doing it correctly, I guess I would say. And so I really love working with women in that field because there's so much that you can do to brand yourself outside of the specific like product you're selling. And so that's what I really work with people on is branding and trying to kind of brand themselves as like a more of a lifestyle, especially with network marketing, more of a lifestyle thing versus like, here's what I sell, buy it from me type of deal.
Yeah, for sure. Do you notice a major difference? I mean, because you've worked with all types of people, brick and mortar businesses, small businesses here in town, and then also network marketing, direct sales, that kind of stuff. Do you notice a major difference between working with somebody who's maybe in network marketing, direct sales versus the brick and mortar small business clients?
Yes and no. I think people that own brick and mortar businesses, they have invested a lot of money into it. And so there's a different sort of drive there to make it work. Like they have to make this work because they've put everything they have into it. Versus someone in network marketing has maybe put in $100, $200. And so, the overhead is nothing and they maybe already have a second income in their family. So a lot of times they're full of, I would say more excuses, but everybody is full of excuses. And I think, there isn't a huge difference there, I would say.
Yeah. So you've worked with people who are highly successful. I mean, there's quite a spectrum, as I would imagine any consultant has, but you've worked with people who are highly successful. You've worked with people who are not very successful, but they end up being highly successful. And then you've worked with people who maybe have all the resources in the world, but after you get done working with them, you're checking up on them and they're just still kind of flatlined. What would you say is the biggest reason that people fail after you've worked with them? Say you give them all the resources and stuff, but they still just can't get it done. What would you say the number one resource or number one reason is as to why people fail?
There's a lot of reasons, I guess, but one big thing would be that their big why isn't big enough, or they haven't really determined what that is yet. And so
Right.
that what's driving them to like make this work and succeed, either they're not as passionate about what they're doing, what they're selling maybe, or they just don't know like why it's important to them. That would be one. And then the second thing is they're full of excuses. Like a huge thing I get all the time is, well, you know, if I tell people to post on their social media accounts once a day if they can, but at least, you know, 4 times a week if once a day isn't feasible for them. And so they're like, well, you know, my pictures are terrible and my lighting is bad and I don't have somebody, you know, I'm a full-time mom too, or I don't have somebody, you know, following me around taking my picture all the time or whatever. There's this excuse, I don't have enough time to do this or whatever. And so to that, I would say, you know, it's an excuse. And so like you need to figure out how important this is to you. And once you realize how important it is to you, you'll do whatever it takes to make it work. I mean, I'm sitting on the floor with kind of crappy lighting. I'm using a $10 mini ring light that I bought on Amazon on my phone because I'm traveling and I have a great lighting set up at you know, in my home office, but I'm here, I'm sitting on the floor. You can slightly hear my baby yelling in the background, but I'm making it work. And, you know, you'll do what you have to do to make ends meet there. You know, picture-wise, too, I'll just talk, because this is kind of funny. You always, you played the Instagram husband for a while, and you were good at it. You're a great photographer. But I'm awkward. Taking pictures is awkward when you have somebody, like, telling you what to do, or, like, you know, people are watching you or something. It's awkward. And so I just took matters into my own hands, and I got, you know, get a tripod. It's like $10 on Amazon. So, and if you don't have $10, then that's fine. But like, you have to know that there are like you know, maybe $100 investment to make an online business work. And in the long scheme of things, $100 isn't bad if you're owning your own company. You know what I mean? So anyway, I set my tripod up and I take my own pictures, and they are, I have to say, and it's nothing against you, but because I'm more comfortable, I think they're so much better than anybody else has taken of me, because I'm like,
Watch it.
you know, I'm more comfortable. What?
I said, watch it. Yeah, well, you posted a bunch. I think I was downtown or something like that, and I saw a bunch of pictures that you had posted, and I was like, holy shit, these are the best pictures like I've ever seen. And I couldn't, for whatever reason, I can't get you to I guess I just can't like stage
people,
it.
Unless you're like
A little bit.
Yeah, unless you're like a professional model, like, I mean, most people are awkward, and I'm no professional model. So like, you're standing there and you're like, okay, you know, look away from the camera, and I'm like, you know, like that, you know, it's just uncomfortable. And so if you feel like you don't have a photographer around you, take your own pictures, set up a tripod, use your iPhone. The iPhone quality is so great these days. Like, you don't even need to invest in a professional camera. 99% of the pictures and the videos I do are on my iPhone. So, I mean, there's no excuse really to not make it work, because we have all of the tools available to us for a very low price, if not free.
Kind of along those lines, because just to back up, I mean, I know some people know this already, maybe some people don't, but so you founded, you know, Socially Awkward. You do social media consulting for people because you've been doing it for years. You also do web design for people, but you're also a blogger yourself. And unfortunately, it's a little bit part-time because we have our hands full with the baby and everything. So you'd like to kind of indulge more in that down the road as being the full-time focus. But what are you seeing when you put on your hat of like blogger and stuff? What are you seeing on social media as like the new trends, like trends of 2018 or trends of 2019? And where do you, if you're forecasting, where do you see things going? What should people be doing if they want to get into that kind of stuff?
Yeah. Yeah. And I, you know, just to kind of touch on that, like there are so many things, like my to-do list for myself and like my personal brand is so long, but it's sort of like with anybody within any field, you do so much for other people that you like at the end of the day you're just like, I don't even feel like getting on my own website. You know what I mean? So I think that's kind of been a struggle for me is to really push my own brand, which I would love to do. And I'm doing it, but I'm not as full time as I would like to be. There just aren't enough hours in the day for that. But yeah, so trends, I would say, I think to make it nowadays as a blogger or like a YouTuber, you have to be pretty well rounded in order to really captivate a big enough audience and to like really grow your network. And so for a long time, we were seeing like these very specific brands come out, like nutritionists, and they would only post like food pictures, or someone who is pushing like gym stuff, and they would only post workout pictures. And like people are kind of bored of that right now. So, or someone who's selling like beauty products, like only posting about that. Like people don't really want to see that anymore. They really want to get to know. It's so saturated. They really want to get to know you and your personality and like more of a lifestyle feel. So like as much as you can bring to the table to show somebody a true inside of you and your personality and who you are, and like what you can offer to them, when people are greedy. So like what can you do to serve me is what people like really want to see. So I'm always thinking of that, like of the audience in mind, is how you're going to really grow that audience.
What do you see
but I think,
doing really well down the road? Do you see it like nutritionists kind of going more towards like lifestyle blogging, fitness people more doing well-rounded stuff? I mean, because this kind of fits into like when you're doing social media consulting with people. I've sat there while you've been on phone calls with people, and they have all they post or their product, whether it's Beauty Calendar or Beachbody or whatever it is. They're posting. Do you see that kind of changing for everybody of just like an honest transparency with a side blurb of like advertisement, or what do you like what do you see with that?
Yeah. So I think, transparency is key. And so people are bored of like the perfect lifestyle and like the perfect post and the stock photos. Like that's so boring for people. And even pictures, like video is where it's at right now. So as much as you can like get on video and practice being comfortable in front of the camera and building your YouTube channel, like to be on video as much as you can now. Now IG Live or IG TV is available. So like utilize all of these things that you can to get your face out there. People trust you when they can really see your personality, and when you gain that trust, you gain them as a reader or as a customer or as a future, employee or business partner or whatever it is. Like, because everything's on the internet, you have to gain trust and you have to be transparent because people are so bored of the cookie cutter thing. And so, and I think to answer your question, I think to make it work for people that are in these specific businesses, these specific, like, what do you call them, like niches, they're going to have to come out a little more of their shell and offer more of them, of lifestyle things, of other things. Otherwise, people are going to get bored.
The lines of like video and stuff, what's probably your favorite social media channel, and where do you see things going for that, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, whatever?
Instagram, I think, is number one right now. YouTube is huge, but anybody who's big on YouTube is also big on Instagram, so they're kind of going back and forth. So, but Instagram has so many different ways for people to stay in touch with you and like see what you're doing. So you can post pictures, you can post videos, you can do IG stories during the day. Now you can have a whole little channel of IGTV. And so at this point, I don't think IGTV is going to take over YouTube. I mean, YouTube is just so big and people are able to earn money, as a YouTuber. And I don't think that's available yet on IGTV, although who knows, it could be in the next, I see a tail.
That's Reese. Get out of here.
So I would say Instagram is my favorite and one that I think is easy to be more consistent on, although Facebook is not dead. So like, don't forget about Facebook, because a lot of, especially if your client range or your audience range is pretty broad, not everybody is on Instagram, but everybody is on Facebook. So keep that in, people need to
Yeah.
keep that in mind a little more, because I think people are thinking that Facebook is dead, but it's really not.
I mean, there's nothing controversial about it, but some people like him. Some people go, it drives them nuts. But Gary V, Gary Vaynerchuk, and I was listening to him talk about social media on the Joe Rogan podcast, and he said, Joe had asked him something about social media and said, video is obviously a big thing. Where do you see things going next? And he said, voice. That voice is going to be kind of the next big thing once you get past video, because then people's attention spans are so short, and so instead of wanting to like watch something in front of their face, all they're going to be able to do is just listen all the time. And so he was recommending, if you're starting out in social media, to really be a brand, like be a character, be a television personality, be a voice that you hear on the radio, because all of this kind of stuff started. Howard Stern, I don't know, he's the first thing that comes to mind, but all these like radio hosts and even like TV personalities, they started off as these like kind of ridiculous characters, and they just kind of stayed with us, and everybody thought that it was odd or whatever, but they're still here today, And so I really see that as like each individual now has the opportunity to be their own character or their own brand or their own, almost like a TV character, and it's pretty amazing. So to really be like hone in and be cognizant of what you're trying to do and who you're trying to capture, and stay on brand with what you're trying to convey, what message you're trying to convey to your followers or listeners or subscribers or whoever it is. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, definitely. I think, people are busy and they're multitasking. And so, that's why like audiobooks are pretty much taking over versus paperback. I'm still a paperback fan, but
paperback's great. It's the best.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's like my way to unplug. But I get it. People are like listening on their way to work. They're doing 100 million things at one time. So, yeah, I think like the podcast route and, like you said, like voice recognition is all part of your brand too. So really like playing up your personality, but like making it authentic, because I think people can see right through that or hear right through that as well. That's key. Like just being 100% you. Because number one, you'll get burnt out, but number two, people aren't stupid. They're going to see through that. So, but also, to touch on that a little more, is your voice is the number one way to get people to gain trust. And so, people can tell a lot about a person by their voice, and how comfortable they are with that person, or how much they like them, or how pleasing they are to them by their voice. And so really kind of gaining, and that's why like video, getting comfortable speaking and getting comfortable in video is so important, because now, like you can live in a town of like 4 people and still make a business boom because of the internet. But like you can only do that if you're gaining trust of people, and you can only really gain trust of people by like getting your voice out there and getting comfortable on video. Okay.
I was going to ask you to put your social media consulting hat on one more time and give one piece of advice to somebody who's maybe starting out on something, but I think you might have touched on it with authenticity. Would you say, and if it's not that, maybe what else you got, but like if somebody's really going to, I guess something more concrete than authenticity, like what does that mean for somebody that's starting out? So say somebody who's like, they're millennials, they've been on the internet, they grew up with it, but they're like, my business is kind of flatlined. Now I want to really brand myself as XYZ. How do I do it? I don't know what the steps are. I usually just use my social media for personal stuff, but I really need to take it to the next level. What do I do?
Add value. Again, people are not only busy, but they're greedy. We all are. We all want to follow somebody who is adding value to our lives, or sharing something that is adding value. And that doesn't mean like, give them tips every day, but it can mean like adding happiness into their day when they see something you post. And so, also I think having fun with it, being authentic and genuine, and having fun with posting and taking pictures and getting on video, because no one wants to watch. It's obvious when people post and they're like, okay, it's Wednesday and I forgot to post yesterday, and so I've got to get something up.
Right.
Let me just post this picture with this, dumb caption or whatever. Like that's obvious to people, and it's boring. And so, I think having fun with it, being authentic, and adding value. And like, one thing I tell a lot of my clients is to go through like like to make a list of the top people you love to follow on Instagram, and make a list of why you love to follow them. Like, what is it about them? Are they pretty? Are they, do you like to see what kind of style they have, or are they adding value in another way to your life? Are they making you laugh? Are they, very sentimental? Is it whatever it is? Like, make that list of that. Are their pictures great? Is it like looking at artwork every time you look at their stuff? Whatever it is, like, make a list of the things that really attracts you to them, and then recognize that that's like what people are looking for, So, and that's what kind of people you're going to attract to, is based on like what you're attracted to. So just like kind of keep that in mind when you're posting.
Cool.
Have a purpose in your post, I guess I would say.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Switching gears a little bit, I know Socially Awkward has kind of taken a step and not a different direction, same direction, but maybe just like adding tiers to what you do. So
okay.
I know about that, but listeners, viewers don't. So tell us a little bit about what's next for Socially Awkward, and kind of elaborate on the importance of that and what your vision for it, I guess.
Okay. So I started this business as a, kind of a small consulting thing, and it really picked up right away. So I was hosting webinars for different groups of teams and different businesses online. And then from there, I started what we call Boss Lady Bootcamp. And so it's 5 days together, and we sort of like rebrand, revamp, and kind of like restyle your entire social media, like all of your social media platforms. And get a blog up and running for you if that's something you wanted to do, or a website, and just sort of like figure out a game plan moving forward of like, okay, like these are the things I'm going to be posting, and this is how I'm going to make my business work on social media. Anyway, so it's 5 days. We really hone in together. So I was offering that, and then I'm still offering that, but I also have an e-course version of that, and that e-course version is actually specific to network marketing. So if anybody's interested in that, I can give them more information, but it's a little more affordable because it's just an e-course. And then I was also offering like brick and mortar business, social media help and Instagram posting and stuff like that. And so now, one thing that I just like love to do is web design. And I've realized that that's like what I'm happiest doing in all of this. I love helping people grow, but I think the excitement that people have when they get their website created and they like have this like new baby to call their own, I just love that. And so we will be adding full web design services to the business, and then probably the next, well, you're helping me kind of get some of this up and running. So the next 3 weeks, probably, we'll have the full service option available. So I'm so pumped about that. It will be, we offer blogs, landing pages, full business websites, like whatever you need, like we can do it. And so I'm really pumped about that too. And then I have it's called Boss Lady Brainstorm, and it was for all my bootcamp graduates, a small private Facebook group where we sort of just like share updates, and it's a free group, but it was for just clients. But I am in the next few days going to be opening that up to anybody. So just sort of a community page of every time there's like new updates in the algorithms of Facebook or Instagram, or anything updates with YouTube or whatever, I will be posting about it in there, and we'll all kind of share tips on what's working for us. So if anybody's interested in joining that, either shoot me a message or just wait for the post to come up. I'll post the link on my Instagram account in the next few days. So I'll be working with them one-on-one before we even start creating, to really get into their brain to see what they're looking for and how they want to brand themselves. Because the website, for some people will be the first place that they look, and that has everything that they need to know about a person and whether or not they want to continue to follow them or do business with them. And so it's such an important platform. And you can really put a lot of personality into it. So I think it's a really fun, creative outlet for so many people. And so I'm really excited about it.
Cool. Yeah, because a lot of times web designers and stuff, they're techies, right? They're coders. And so they just say, hey, what do you want? What do you want it to look like? Bing, bang, boom, I can do it. But you sitting down and talking with them and kind of having a one-on-one and really understanding what their brand is and where they want to go with it, is substantially more in depth than what you're mostly going to be getting from other web designers out there who are more to sit behind a computer and crank stuff out, which is cool. I think it's awesome. I think you're going to do great with it.
Yeah, like I want it to be similar to the process of like an interior designer or something, like coming in and really getting to know your family and like what works for you and your lifestyle. You know, I want it to be a similar process like that so that it really, really fits them to a T.
So, so you wear all these different hats, and there's a ton of stuff going on. So what drives you, I guess, to be able to juggle everything and do it with grace and be wonderful at it? What would you say is your biggest driver on that? And I don't even know if you've really thought about it too much, but what would you say?
I think first and foremost, you know, my family, like being flexible in what I do too, and knowing how important providing, you know, helping to provide for us, and a business that I can maybe even leave on to my family one day. You know, it's exciting to me, but I think driving me beyond that is offering that to other people, you know, like letting them see how great life can be when they can make this work for them. And so, and everybody can make it work for them. You just need the right tools and you need the right motivation, maybe a little push here and there. So I think just like knowing that someone can go from like 0 to 100 and like and change their lives, it's powerful, you know? So I think for me, a lot of it has to do with like the other people. Like I really just love seeing growth in other people. I was just made me think of it like juggling all of these things. You asked me about like what drives me to do that, but I think another huge excuse I hear is I don't have the time. And so one thing I really, really work on with my clients is time management and like learning how to fit your entire business in like a 1 or 2 hour time gap, if that's all that you have to work with. Obviously, if you have more time, you know, that's more convenient. But really, we work on time blocking, and I work, if you've worked with me, you know, we call it a happy hour hustle. So like, you know, if you have kids, putting them to bed, getting a glass of wine, and time blocking. So like, I'm so big on setting a timer and saying, okay, this is my list, and these are the things that I have to get done in order to see growth in my business. And so I'm going to work on this one for 15 minutes, this one for 10, and like set your timer, work on those things, and then be done with that one, move on to the next one. And like, you'll be so much more productive than you ever thought possible. Turn off your notifications on things. Like if you're someone who scrolls mindlessly on Instagram before you like decide to post something, turn that off. Post and then get off. So set that into your 5 minutes I have to post on Instagram. Set that into your time blocking, and like, I mean, it'll change the game for you. It's so simple, yeah, but like most people don't do it. Well, thanks for having me on. I miss you.
I miss you too.
So I guess I guess I'll talk about that really quickly. So we live in San Ynez, California, which is like wine country, mountainside of Santa Barbara, and I am visiting. My family lives in South Florida, and I'm here for 2 weeks with our 1-year-old, almost 1.5-year-old, visiting my parents, and so that's why he's in all the good lighting there, and I'm here sitting on the floor. But yeah, so we're apart from each other for 2 weeks, which is not the longest we've been apart, but the longest we've been apart while having a baby. So yeah, that's why we're like married, but not in the same area recording this.
Right. You're actually upstairs. Just cool. Okay. Well, I love you. I miss you. Thanks for joining me tonight. You're a wonderful guest, as always. And we'll talk once we get off of here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Again, anybody who's on here or watching the recording, please reach out to me if you have any questions. Like, I'm not going to ask you to pay me to answer a few questions. Please reach out, email me, message me, whatever you want to do. I'm happy to help in any way I can.
Cool. And we'll add your contact information on
we'll link
our
it all
YouTube
below.
channel and IGTV and the whole thing. Yeah. So, all right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. And thanks, Casey.